MTG Scoundrels, it's in the cardboard. Ladies and gentlemen, scoundrels of all ages, welcome back to another episode of Modern Weekly. Today on the docket, we have Necrodominance versus Eldrazi Ramp. Necrodominance was a huge presence at the Pro Tour, probably second most next to Nadu when it came out. Had a little bit of a lull since the banning, but has made a strong comeback as of late. Starting out with a Thoughtseize here, bringing us to 18 to 20. Looks like the Eldrazi Ramp player playing Misty Rainforests in their list. Kozilek's command being taken by the Thoughtseize. A lot of these Eldrazi Ramp lists are now starting to splash blue for the consigns for the mirror. And other Thoughtseize, other Eldrazi lists. We got a fetch here on the end step. Finding a hedge maze. Doing some surveilling here shortly. Now there's generally two different Eldrazi Ramp decks. One of them is generally Through the Breach, which plays the card Through the Breach to cheat in big stuff. The other is this list here, which will be playing cards like Emrakul the Promise End. There's a Shifting Woodland into a Malevolent Rumble. Two lands and a couple World Breakers here. Taking a land. Passing the turn. There's a Fatal Push to try to slow the ramp down here a little bit. Eliminate a colorless source. Another Swamp. Passing. There's another Rumble. Tough choice here, revealing Sprawl, Forest, the One Ring, and Eldrazi Temple. Taking the Eldrazi Temple, letting the One Ring hit the bin. Making another spawn. There's the Temple for the land for turn and passing. Takenuma into the One Ring. One Ring, drawing a card here. Forest. Ooh, there you are. A Kick Sowing Mycospawn. Not bad on turn 4. Exiling a Swamp. Finding an Eldrazi Temple. Untapping, taking one off the One Ring. Drawing for turn. Drawing 2 off the One Ring here. Finds a 4th land. passing the turn. Sowing Mycospawn, getting in for 3. Misty Rainforest is land for turn here. Oh, deciding needs to crack the Misty here. Would appear going down to 18. Finding a forest. Into the One Ring. Soul Spike cast. That'll switch our life totals to 18 to 14 here. Untapping. Taking 2 off the One Ring. Playing the 5th land for turn. Drawing 3 cards off the One Ring. Playing another copy of the One Ring in response. The Eldrazi Ramp player tapping their own One Ring. How many times can I say One Ring in the same sentence? There is a Kozilek's Return. Drew a card off the One Ring, then essentially cast it. Looked a little bit weird here. I apologize about that. Scrying 2. Drawing 1. Passing the turn. Well, passing priority. Drawing another card off the One Ring. Taking 1 off of the One Ring. Drawing a card for turn, tapping it, drawing 2 more cards. There's an Uggin's Labyrinth, imprinting a Devourer Destiny. Four mana. Another copy of the One Ring. Tapping it, drawing a card. Leaving no room for an Orcish Bowmasters to hit the ground here. Still potentially has 8 mana available. Deciding to pass the turn. Taking 1 off the One Ring. Another swamp here. Playing a Sheoldred. Tapping the One Ring. in response, there is a Kozilek's command. Exiling the Shieldred, making 4 dudes in the form of Eldrazi spawn tokens. Untapping, taking 1 off the ring. And there is another kicked Sowing Mycospawn. Deciding to cast the Orcish Bowmaster. So in response to the cast, the Eldrazi Ramp player going to activate the One Ring. The Bowmaster will ping the Eldrazi Ramp player. And the swamp will be exiled. Looks like the Eldrazi Ramp player forgetting to go find their land. We'll see if that comes to bite them. And taking some sweet time here to figure out what they're going to do next. Playing their land for turn. Yep, completely missed finding the land there. Just a reminder to everyone here, Magic the Gathering is a difficult game. There's an All Is Dust, going to take care of the Bowmasters and the Orc army. Attacking him for 3, bring us to 12 to 11. And then 10 to 11 after taking 2 off of this One Ring. There is a Bogart Trawler, which does matter here. That'll take essentially the Delirium away from any Emrakul the Promise End. But also is just a 3/1 body. We'll also draw 3 cards off the One Ring. And there's a Thoughtseize. Taking the Devourer of Destiny. Probably should have went Thoughtseize then Bogart Trawler. But this is the place we're at. Taking 2 off the 1 ring here for the Eldrazi Ramp player. There's a Malevolent Rumble. Well, there is an E-Temple, 2 Sprawls, and an Emrakul. Putting the Emrakul to hand here. And that'll bring up 3 types into the bin. Force at Emrakul. And getting another Eldrazi spawn. Excuse me, up to 4 types with the Rumble going to the bin. Well, seems as good a time as any. Let's cast an Emrakul the Promise End. In response, Soul Spike. Bring us to 12 to 5. Soul Spike. Bring us to 16 to 1. That will leave the Eldrazi Ramp player dead when the turn goes back to them. What a game here. Yep, why not draw 3 cards? You're not going to live on the next turn anyway. No copy of the One Ring, or else it'd probably be slammed right here. And that would be the way out. Well, playing a Kozilek's command, exiling the Bogart Trawler. Getting in for 6. Should probably be 2 more spawns on the battlefield here as well. Alright, taking the turn of the Necro player. Last shot. Draws a card. Took 3 off of the One Ring. Activating Castle Lochthwain to draw the Necrodominance. Had a few looks at it, but there you go. That'll win the game. Draw a bunch more cards just to make sure they die. And game 1 goes to Eldrazi Ramp. What a nail biter there at the end. Thank you all so much for watching us here at MTG Scoundrels. If you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe. Be a friend, tell a friend. Come back for more magic like that. Wow. Hitting Emrakul the Promise and not finding the One Ring. Having to hit exactly Necrodominance and one of those top cards. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Sideboarding here, probably bringing in some cards to make life a little bit more difficult for the Necro player. Trinisphere, not awful considering they have a bunch of 2-mana cards. They have a bunch of Soul Spikes that you would like them to pay full price for. Or at least close to full price. Not wanting to just get Soul Spiked for 8 out of nowhere. As a Necro player, you're bringing in your full suite of Break the Ices, probably bringing in some Damping Spheres, but you don't necessarily have to. And Fatal Push isn't a card you really want to be stuck on in this matchup. Now, if you're looking for deck lists, definitely check the description below for both the individuals' deck lists here. And also, if you're interested in tokens, check out our friends over at Arcane Artistry. They make wonderful food, treasure, and clue tokens in the stained glass style. High quality, made out of acrylic. Check out their Etsy link in the description. Now on the left here we have Chang, one of our pillars of the community. For a long time known as a 5-color creativity player. For a minute there was seen playing Nadu on occasion, but here playing Necrodominance. And on the right here we have Jason. Consistent Eldrazi player, occasional food player. We're in an interesting point of where the format is at the moment. The energy decks have really started to take over the top 3 spots of the format. Of course, we're definitely still seeing Eldrazi lists, mostly through the breach. Some mono-green Eldrazi up there as well. Mostly playing Tron lands. And Necrodominance has started to see more play. Other decks to definitely look out for include the new Jeskai Dreadnought list, which really is just taking this Legacy Stifle Knot shell and being that the main card of that format, or from that deck in Legacy, is not available in Modern. Mostly just playing Flage, as well as Null Drifter, with cards like Dress Down. And main deck Consign to Memories, which is pretty wild. Specifically to be able to counter the evoke trigger of some of your creatures. Alright, moving into game 2 here. Starting out with the pregame action of Devourer of Destiny being revealed. Land for turn, and then Devourer of Destiny trigger. Some Eldrazi lists have been shying away from Devourer of Destiny. Still a powerful card. Putting one on top, looks like, ooh, wow. Exiling a Kozilek's Command, an Eldrazi Temple, and a blue-green land. There's an Ugin's Labyrinth, and passing the turn. Wow. Turn 2, break the ice. And all of a sudden the Eldrazi player a little behind here. Tap Shifting Woodland, passing the turn. Castle Lochthwain. And there is a Dauthi Voidwalker. Still a very strong card. Eldrazi Temple and passing. Dauthi getting in for 3. Land for turn. Another Dauthi Voidwalker. This is how you can really run away with the game. There is a Cavern of Souls, naming Eldrazi. Passing the turn. Orcish Bowmaster on the end step. Bringing us to 20-16. Attacking in for 8. There is a Kozilek's Command, get rid of one of the Dauthis. Making 2 dudes. Taking 5 instead. Bring us to 20-11. And there's the One Ring. Of course, that Kozilek's Command going under the Dauthi. And passing the turn after drawing a card. Misty Rainforest here, that'll get cracked. Bring us to 20-10. Finding a forest. And Misty also going under the Dauthi. I mean, that's about as good a time as any to cast Anala's Dust. Passing the turn. Looks like both players discussing Dauthi rules here. Taking 1 off the One Ring, the Necro player is. Drawing 2 off the One Ring after drawing for turn. There is the 3rd Dauthi Voidwalker into a Thoughtseize. Taking an Emrakul. That's kind of what you want. Taking 3 off a land. Playing a Damping Sphere. Passing the turn. There's a forest. Need a way to get rid of that Dothy. Here's a Utopia Sprawl. Which should be paid for here. Unfortunately, it looks like that has not been the case just yet. So I think they are discussing if Utopia Sprawl gets around the rules of Damping Sphere. And I believe it does. Both players going over it. Both players looking it up here. Being that the land itself doesn't tap for 2 colorless mana, or 2 mana of any type, and it's the Utopia Sprawl that ends up tapping for the mana, ultimately. I believe it does get around Damping Sphere. Though that could have been explained a lot better. It looks like, in fact, did pay for the Utopia Sprawl, once that was discussed. And there's the Kozilek's return to get rid of the Dothy Voidwalker. Untapping, taking 2 off the One Ring. Yep, both players still discussing Dothy Voidwalker. Dothy Voidwalker, one of the most annoying cards in the format, though very powerful. And there's an overloaded Break the Ice. Because why not? I'll destroy 2 lands here. Modern, now the format of land destruction. Passing the turn after playing a Misty Rainforest. The Necro player going to draw 3 cards here. And untap and take 3. Going to 9. And there is the Sheoldred. End step, cracking the Misty Rainforest. Bringing us to 9 all. And there is a Hedge Maze. Surveilling. Putting a Trinisphere in the bin. We're a little bit past that at this point. Playing an Eldrazi Temple. Doesn't have a lot of outs. Passing the turn. End step, gonna draw 4 cards. Gain 8 life off the Shieldred. Bringing us to 17-7. Soul Spike, bringing us to 21-3. Untapping. Activating the Shifting Woodland for some reason. I think ultimately the game's done here. Copying the Trinosphere. Going to 17. Attacking in with the Shieldred, and that'll do it. Game 2, going to Necrodominance. Thank you all so much for watching us here at MTG Scoundrels. If you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe. Be a friend, tell a friend. Interesting set of games here. Moving into Game 3. Eldrazi Ramp will be on the play. There's even a Necrodominance in hand there for the Necro player. So being able to slam that the next turn was going to be huge too, if there was a way to get rid of the Shieldred. Looks like slight sideboard adjustments here. As you saw in the first couple turns there, attacking the Eldrazi player's mana early really sets them back. If they can, they want to play their spells early as possible. Granted, the Necro player also saw every land they wanted. And yeah, it's tough to play into 3 Dothy Voidwalker. Alright, moving on to Game 3 here. Both players looking at 7. If the Eldrazi player has a talisman in hand, they're probably keeping their hand, as long as they have the lands to go with it. Looks like the Necro player going down to 6. Keeping, putting 1 to the bottom. Starting with Forest. Swamp and Pass. Shifting Woodland. And a Talisman of Curiosity. Dauthi Voidwalker. Almost just like last game. Sometimes you wonder if, as an Eldrazi player, you want to actually think about when you set out your colorless sources. Of course, playing the One Ring here, tapping it, drawing a card. Land for turn and passing. Taking one off the One Ring. Bring us to 20 to 17. Into a kicked Sowing Mycospawn. Going after the land. He'll get exiled. This time remembering to find a land. Another Eldrazi temple here. In response to the Orcish Bowmasters being cast of the Moving of Phases, tapping the One Ring to draw 2 cards once the shuffling here is complete. And there's a Thoughtseize. Few options to choose from here. Trinisphere, Worldbreaker, Sowing Mycospawn. Choosing to take the Worldbreaker. And going to cash in that Dauthi Voidwalker to cast the Worldbreaker to exile the One Ring. Passing the turn. It is a 5/7 on the battlefield. Miscounting mana here, looks like. Playing a Misty Rainforest. Cracking it. Going to 15. Finding a forest. Playing a Kozilek's Command, exiling the Worldbreaker. Making 7 Eldrazi spawns. Using 3 of them to land the Trinisphere. getting in with the Sowing Mycospawn. Bring us to 15 all. And passing. Orcish Bowmasters and the Orc army getting in for 2. And there's the Shieldred. Now there's an argument to be made that you just let the World Breakers stick around. It doesn't have anything in terms of text that's going to bother you. And you save your removal for any Shieldreds. But, you know, you're running Devourer Destiny. You'd think you could find something for a Shieldred. There's a Malevolent Rumble. Paying 3 for it. Ooh, the All is Dust. Going to the bin here. That's a bit unfortunate. Taking a land. Trying not to overdo it, it looks like, in terms of overrunning yourself with colorless sources. But here is a kicked Sowing Mycospawn going after that Castle Lochthwain. Finding an Eldrazi Temple. Passing the turn. Gaining 2 life off the Shieldred. Going to 17 to 11. Losing 2 off Shieldred. Bring us to 17 to 9. Playing a Hedge Maze. Surveilling a Kozilek's return. Into the bin. And passing. There's an Orcish Bowmaster, so that'll bring us to 17 to 8. Untapping, drawing. 19 to 8. And there is a Bogart Trawler. That'll exile the bin, taking away the fear of Kozilek's return. Untapping, drawing. And passing. Going to 21-6. Has a tough spot here. Not a lot of good blocks. Presumably trying to keep up a certain amount of stuff. Doing some math. What can you get rid of while preserving your life total? Deciding to kill 2 Orcish Bowmasters here instead of getting rid of the Shieldred. And blocking the rest with the spawns. Going to 4. There is a Misty Rainforest. And with that Kozilek's Return in hand, it's just trying to find the right opportunity. Oh goodness. There is one of the new MH3 MDFCs. Say that 3 times fast. Fell the Profane, killing one of the Sowing Mycospawns. Getting in. Sowing Mycospawn going to block. Going to 1. Assumingly to find a stomping ground here. There's the stomping ground. And there's the Kozilek's Return. That'll wipe the board. The Sowing Mycospawn will be down as well, but the Necro player has a backup Shieldred. And that'll do it. Game, set, match going to Necrodominance. Heck of a match. Thank you all so much for watching us here at MTG Scoundrels. If you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe. Be a friend, tell a friend. And we will see you all next week.